Hello, my dear students. Welcome to daily presentations, to your hard work inspirations to do your work and manuscripts. Let's see, let's watch it. And if you have any question, the contact is below. Let's go. 27 presentation.
Welcome back to The Path to Happiness, an introduction to the unification principle. I'm your host, Dr. Tyler Hendricks. In our study of the Bible, we're seeing principles at work in the courses of biblical figures, creating discernible patterns of events. This helps us understand how God is working in our times and in our lives and in our families. In this session, we will expand our horizon from the ancestral families of Adam, Noah, and Abraham to the biblical courses of Moses and Jesus. And this will give us a clue as to what to expect at the time of the second coming. Those records in the book of Genesis are not simply family histories or genealogies. Through these stories, we can understand the principle of restoration through indemnity and God's providence of salvation for humankind and for the entire creation, taking it out of the dominion of Satan after the fall of Adam. It tells us about how we and all things separate from Satan. We see that the evil forces in Satan's position have to surrender to heaven's side voluntarily, not by force. This was the course that the people of faith from Adam's family, Noah's family, and Abraham's family had to go. In other words, this is the model course for separating from Satan. The course from Adam to the family of Abraham is accounted in the Bible at about 2,000 years. That was the period of separating Satan and receiving the Messiah on the family and tribal level. It then transitioned after the 12 sons of Jacob entered Egypt, centered on Joseph, to lay the foundation for the Messiah on the national level. We will study how Moses and Joshua, as the central figures, set the foundation to receive the Messiah on the national level. The purpose of the providence of restoration is for human beings to fulfill our portion of responsibility and ultimately make Satan voluntarily surrender to us as masters of the spirit world as well as the physical world. Jesus, as the Messiah and true Adam, came to help all people of faith bring Satan to voluntary submission. But Satan does not surrender voluntarily even to God, and he certainly would not easily surrender to Jesus, much less Jesus' disciples. Therefore, God took responsibility as our Creator and worked through Jacob and Moses to subjugate Satan on a preliminary level. If we look at those courses, we will see God showing Jesus and us the way to bring Satan to submission. Through following the symbolic course laid by Jacob, Moses was able to walk the image course, and Jesus was able to walk the substantial course. These model courses show how we must walk to bring Satan to submission and fulfill the goal of the providence of restoration. Let us study these courses and look at some parallels. Now here's the first parallel. The first human beings should have kept God's commandment not to eat the fruit, yet they fell at the risk of their lives. We knew we would die, yet we followed the archangel. Because we fell risking our lives, we have to be able to put our lives on the line to resurrect. That is why Jacob had to win over the angel during their fight at the ford on the river Jabbok at the risk of his life. Also, Moses had to overcome the Lord trying to kill him on the way to Egypt with his wife Zipporah and son Gershom. Likewise, Jesus had to overcome Satan at the risk of his life in the wilderness for 40 days, and he gave his life for us on the cross. Number 2, both human beings, flesh and spirit, were claimed by Satan, resulting in us acquiring our fallen nature. Therefore, conditions of the flesh and spirit are required to remove this fallen nature. That is the meaning of Jacob giving Esau bread and lentils, symbolizing flesh and spirit. In Moses' time, the indemnity condition to remove the fallen nature was laid when God fed the Israelites manna and quail. In Jesus' time, the Jews had to become one with him in flesh and spirit. In this way, they would have fulfilled the indemnity condition to remove the fallen nature. That is why Jesus said, "Very truly I tell you, unless you eat the flesh of the Son of Man and drink his blood, you have no life in you." Number 3, due to the fall, Satan defiled even the human corpse. This is why this had to be restored as well. Jacob's body required 40 days to embalm. The archangel Michael contested with the devil to gain possession of Moses' body, and God claimed Jesus' body in the tomb. Number 4, Satan tempted human beings to fall during their growing period, which is represented by principled numbers that therefore have to be restored. That is why when Jacob began his journey from Haran to Canaan, there was that 3-day period. It was for separation from Satan. Moses had 3 days to start the Israelites' journey out of Egypt. And Jesus spent 3 days in his tomb. We see the number 3 being restored. There were 12 generations from Noah to Jacob that had to be restored through indemnity. And that is why Jacob had 12 sons. In Moses' time there were 12 tribes. And in Jesus' time he had 12 disciples. In order to restore the 7 days of creation that were lost to Satan, there were 70 members in Jacob's family that went to Egypt, 70 elders in Moses' time, and 70 followers who had central roles in Jesus' time. Number 5, a staff which smites evil, points the way, and provides support is a symbol of the Messiah. Having this significance, Jacob walked with a staff when he entered the land of Canaan. Moses crossed the Red Sea by striking the waters with his staff. And Jesus is our staff, the iron scepter, the rod of iron, who will guide humankind to cross the fallen world to God's ideal world. Number 6, Eve's sin implanted selfishness in the lineage of humankind, which bore fruit when Cain killed Abel. Satan was able to invade humankind because of this mother and son cooperation. Therefore, in order to restore this through indemnity, the cooperation between mother and son is needed. Jacob cooperated with his mother, Rebekah, and both Moses and Jesus, as infants, were rescued from death by their mother. Number 7, the central figures who are responsible for the providence of restoration need to return from the satanic world to the kingdom of heaven. Symbolizing this, Jacob walked the course of returning from Haran to Canaan. Moses journeyed from Egypt to Canaan, and Jesus' family journeyed from Egypt to Israel after the death of King Herod. Finally, number 8. The ultimate goal of the providence of restoration is to eradicate Satan. Jacob buried Laban's idols under an oak tree. Moses destroyed the golden calf, scattered its ashes on the waters, and let the Israelites drink it. And finally, Jesus gave Peter the keys to the kingdom of heaven, against which he said the gates of hell will not prevail. By these lessons, we can practice the principle, seeing God's time periods, being strong as a staff, cooperating as mother and son, maintaining our physical purity, and so forth. And we can see also a lot of variability and flexibility. The course of Moses will illustrate how God's unchanging principles fit with changing situations like ours. Thanks for listening, and take care of yourself and those around you.
Okay, this was presentation for today. Please use it in your research. For any question, the telephone is below in the description. And all presentation are on the playlist. Okay, let's go further with the next.